My second story is about a mayonnaise jar. A professor stood before his class and placed some items in front of him. When the class began, he picked up a very large and empty mayonnaise jar and proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He then asked the students if the jar was full, and they agreed it was full. The professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar, and he shook the jar lightly. The pebbles started to roll into the open places between the golf balls. He then asked the students if the jar was full, and they all agreed it was full. The professor next picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. Of course, the jar began to be filled up with the sand and everything else. And he asked one more time, "Is the jar full?" And the students all responded with a unanimous yes. The professor then produced 2 cups of coffee from under the table and poured the entire contents into the jar, effectively filling the empty spaces between the sand. The students started to laugh, wondering what the professor was up to. "Now," said the professor as the laughter subsided, "I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the important things, your God, your family, your children, your health, your friends, and your favorite passions. The things that if everything else was lost and only these remained, your life will still be full. The pebbles are the other things that matter, like your job, your house, and your car. The sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand in the jar first," he continued, "there will be no room for the pebbles or the golf balls." So the same goes for life. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are important to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Play with your children. Take time to get medical checkups. Take your partner out for dinner and do that painting. There will always be time to clean the house and fix the wall cabinet. Take care of the golf balls first, the things that really matter. Set your priorities, because the rest is just sand. In the last 3 years, you worked very hard to earn yourself a place in today's ceremony. After today, I hope your life will be even more meaningful and more impactful. May your innovative and enterprising spirit bring much excitement and joy to your journey ahead. There is one last bit to the story. One of the students raised her hand and asked, "What about the coffee?" And the professor smiled. "I'm glad you asked. It just goes to show that no matter how full your life may be, there's always room for a couple of cups of coffee with a friend." Temasek Design School has been your second home for the last 3 years. You will always have friends here. Join the TP Graduates Association, where you will meet graduates from the last 30 years. The coffee, the tepeng, and the chicken chop will always be here. And this place will always be home to you. Come home often.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.